Good evening. Today I want to prove that you can get sheening even from a cheaper ink. This is Parker's Quink Dark Blue, not an expensive ink at all. And in this ink, even in here, we shall get shades of red and sheening. So join me while I swab this ink on Tomoe River Paper, Clairefontaine paper and Rhodia paper. And let us see the magical colors that come out of even a cheap blue ink. There's no need to spend a lot of money on expensive inks if you are using this ink to do color swatches with. If you're using this ink to color in with, you will find that even with this ink, you can get the colors that you desire. In the writing sample, we shall see that there is very little variance in the writing samples. When we look at Parker's Quink on Tomoe River Paper, we can see that there is some shading, and even a little bit of the red is coming through. But this is using a broad nib on one of the best papers available. If we look at Parker's Quink Dark Blue on Clairefontaine, there is some slight shading, but there is no red sheening. And if we look on Rhodia paper, a favorite amongst many and one of my favorites, there is very little shading and certainly no sheening. So join me while we do a deep dive into Parker's Quink Dark Blue. We start off swatching on Tomoe River Paper with Parker's Quink Deep Blue ink. The ink goes down smoothly and has a deep, lush blue color when wet. On Clairefontaine paper, the ink is again deep blue, but strangely not as deep as it was on Tomoe River Paper. It is also not as smooth when looking at the way that the ink dries on the paper. This one should sheen though. On Rhodia paper, the ink seems to be the most muted color of them all. It is not as bright as Clairefontaine and certainly not as bright as Tomoe River. But we shall add copious amounts of ink to allow this paper to bring forth the qualities of this lovely dark blue ink. Here in the final dried samples, we can see that on Tomoe River paper, the ink is smooth and without noticeable shading lines when the swab went over the paper. On Clairefontaine, the ink here is still a little wet, but already we can see lovely dark shading and sheening of this ink. On Rhodia paper, as suspected, the color is not as dark, but there is a lot of shading and sheening with a nice red ring around the deeper pooled areas. Well folks, that was Parker's Deep Blue ink, a cheaper ink, but an ink that I suspected would sheen and shade. I hope you enjoyed it. Until we meet again, have a good one.